What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize because, again, I haven't really played too much Black Ops 6, so I have no Call of Duty gameplay, so hopefully the Gears of War gameplay will hold you guys over. Again, I'm not the best Gears player ever, but I still have a blast playing the game. And I'll also be streaming it on Saturday, so of course, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I'll be up on Gears of War Reloaded, the second beta, playing King of the Hill mostly, and obviously Elimination as well, on all the fresh maps in the rotation. And we host open lobbies as well, so if you want to hop on in, by all means, you're welcome to do so. But today we actually have a spicy Call of Duty topic, ladies and gentlemen, because my favorite team out of all the teams that work on Call of Duty is sadly getting screwed over once again. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see right here from Detonated over on Twitter saying, it's rumored that Sledgehammer Games is pretty much doing the multiplayer at this point for Black Ops 7, and this is leaked from the Ghost of Hope, who has been pretty much on point with almost everything regarding pretty much all the Call of Duty games that he has leaked out here. Now, I'm very mixed about this because I love Sledgehammer. So to hear that they are working on the multiplayer experience is actually a good thing to me personally because they're the best team that listens to the community. Treyarch and Infinity Ward are absolutely garbage at keeping the community in the loop. They start off kind of positive, but I swear to God, the second the holiday season hits, they instantly ditch the community, they give zero craps, and they just don't care about any of the progress between, the communication between them and us. But Sledgehammer Games, no matter what happens, they keep us in the loop. Modern Warfare 3, from beginning to the very freaking end, we knew every single detail about that game. And of course, the communication isn't as good as something like X-Defiant or Splitgate 2 with 1047 games. It's not like that type of communication. They're still under a massive publisher like Activision, so they have to listen and, do all this garbage to make sure they probably don't break any deals with Activision. But as I stated, out of all the teams, Sledgehammer put in work. They gave a crap, they showed us love, and they genuinely wanted to see the Call of Duty franchise thrive the way that we want to see it thrive. So when I hear that Sledgehammer is the head of the multiplayer, well, not the head, but they are basically putting together the multiplayer experience for Black Ops 7, that kind of puts a smile on my face partially. But then I see another tweet here by the Ghost of Hope saying, Treyarch still has creative control, by the way. It's their franchise. But hopefully it means something good for multiplayer if Sledgehammer Games are helping and playing to their strengths. This is where I start to get a little bit worried, because with Modern Warfare 3, you have to understand, although Infinity Ward kind of backed off a little bit, they still refused to allow Sledgehammer to do what they wanted to do. Like, for example, having a prestige system within Modern Warfare 3. They wanted to do that. Guess what? They weren't allowed. They had to save it for the next Call of Duty game. They also wanted to do the Pick 10 system. Guess what? They weren't allowed to do that because Infinity Ward said that's not good enough. So here we are, with Treyarch still having the head control over Black Ops 7. And I want to believe that Sledgehammer could cook something up great. But, I actually mentioned this in a video previously that Courage JD discussed. And again, I know Courage JD, the second that Activision drops a check on him, he's going to instantly fold and start saying how great the game is. And then a year down the road, he's going to say, the Call of Duty is in such a bad spot, this, that, and the third, whatever. But he made a great point. Every single one of the main development teams for Call of Duty are competing against one another. They're not working together. They're not united. They're not trying to combine ideas. They want to be the best dev team out of them all. So when I see that Sledgehammer's coming in for Black Ops 7, yet they don't have full control of the multiplayer experience, that means that more than likely we're going to be getting an experience that is going to be kind of 50-50. You'll be able to feel Sledgehammer's presence, but more than likely it won't be a completely polished off game because Treyarch and Sledgehammer are going to be beefing, head to head, trying to push through their own ideas on what they think is good for Call of Duty, and it's just not going to be a healthy overall experience. I gotta be real with you guys. Screw Activision. Absolutely screw Activision. All of this is absolutely their fault. The last time I heard, Sledgehammer was begging them to go ahead and allow them to have a full development cycle. And now here we are, and we are getting news that they are the ones putting together the multiplayer experience. And you want to know what the saddest part about this is? They're not going to advertise it as that. I guarantee it, when it's Sledgehammer's turn to go ahead and make a game, Activision is going to boast and, brag about how Sledgehammer had a full development cycle to put together their game. Because they did the same thing with Modern Warfare 3. Back in the OG days, Sledgehammer was never completely credited for the multiplayer experience. If anybody just randomly picked up the game, they instantly thought it was an Infinity Ward title, from the campaign to the multiplayer to the Spec Ops, 110%. And the same thing is going to happen here. You know, the only way anybody's going to know is, the people who are leaking it out. Obviously, they're going to have Sledgehammer as a development team that helped, because they are with every game. If you look at the credits of every Call of Duty title, all the development teams are listed, right? But usually they only have slight roles here and there, right? It's not really anything too crazy. They're just helping on certain parts of the project, and then all of their manpowers on their own separate games. But this isn't going to be the case. They're going to be advertised as helping in the credits, but the multiplayer experience is going to be them. They had to take time out of their game to go ahead and work on Black Ops 7 multiplayer because Activision decided that Treyarch had to magically poop out 2 separate games in a 4-year development cycle, while also bragging that Treyarch, for the first time, is getting a 4-year development cycle. And then, as we see with our own eyes, they didn't. If they had a full development cycle, Black Ops 6 would have been packed with content. It would have gotten the same live, service support that Modern Warfare 3 would have gotten. It would have gotten tremendous updates. We wouldn't be coming up on the next brand new season halfway through the game's life cycle while the servers are still absolutely atrocious and the game is bugged to death. None of this stuff would have been happening if the developers actually had 4 years. They didn't. They had to put 2 games together, and because the second game they just couldn't get out because they're stretched too thin, Sledgehammer has to come in and save the day and try to put everything together, as they do every single time around. It's the same thing with Vanguard. Vanguard was put together so Modern Warfare 2 2022 could get some additional time. Modern Warfare 3 was put together so Black Ops 6 could magically get, a little bit of additional time, but apparently, it wasn't even worth it because Black Ops 6 still turned out the way that it did. And here we are, they're coming back in again with Black Ops 7 because, Treyarch couldn't handle the 4-year cycle of putting together 2 games, which I can't blame them. I don't want anybody to think I'm bashing Treyarch whatsoever, because that is a hard task. That is a lot of creative stress. It is. To be able to put together 2 completely different fledged out titles and make them both unique enough from one another. And, 2-year segments back to back, that's not easy to do whatsoever. Not even in the slightest. Activision is intentionally screwing these developers, and I feel horrible for them. But at the same time, they're all sticking around. They're all here. They must be getting paid good money. That's all I can say. They have to be getting paid good money because the workload that these individuals get on a year-to-year basis is absolutely mind-boggling to me. And the only reason they're able to get away with it is because Call of Duty is Call of Duty. It's a household name that everybody knows of, and even people who aren't gamers know of Call of Duty. And the entry level of the game is so simple that anybody can pick it up and get a couple of kills, which attracts a huge portion of the community compared to any other FPS out there that does take a little bit of learning and effort to actually, improve at. And because of that, it doesn't matter. They're going to make millions, if not billions, on a yearly basis, and it'll be stupid of them not to overwork these developers because it's working right now. They can do what they do, and they will still make a ton of money because of it. It sucks, but that's just the reality of things. And the worst part about it, because I know people are going to say, well, JB, you should be happy because Sledgehammer is great and they're going to put together this game and it's going to be awesome. But what is the chance of Sledgehammer being the ones who communicate with us? What are those chances, right? If the chances are high, then I'm going to be a happy camper. But I bet you, since it's obviously a Black Ops 7 title, Treyarch is going to be the team who comes out with all the communication and has to come out with all the patch notes and has to come out with, the community itself. And because of that, I'm not too confident. I feel like Sledgehammer is just going to have to simply take away time from their own project to come forward with BO7 and assist, but when it comes to the game being live, they're not going to be there talking to us. They're not going to be the ones keeping us in the loop and, interacting with the actual community, not just making a random post and then ignoring everybody out there. They're not going to be the ones helping us. And if that's not the case, then I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Again, Black Ops 7 might turn out amazing when it comes to content. It might turn out to be another Modern Warfare 3. And if you guys remember back with Modern Warfare 3, I praised it all year long because it was packed with good things to do. And it was actually nicely put together. So who knows? That might be the outcome here. But all I can say is that it definitely has me worried. And my expectations are literally just rock bottom. I'm not really expecting much. And I hope everybody really comes in with that mentality because it seems the COD community is just on this constant cycle of overhyping themselves and then getting massively let down. And I feel like the same thing might happen here if they decide to not be a little cautious. But Ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post here daily at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. Everything between Splitgate, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Ark Raiders. I'm going to go ahead and discuss each and every one of these games. And of course, as you guys know, like with a lot of the games I discuss, it's hard to talk about them until they drop. So, I always say Ark Raiders and stuff like that, but I really need to play it, I want to play the game consistently, and I want you guys to be able to play the game consistently. And that's when content really begins to form. So like I said, if you guys are interested in any of those games, subscribe and hit that bell. And last but not least, I do stream Monday through Saturday, but actually this week, I do apologize. On Friday, today, I'm not going to be live, but I will be live on this Sunday. It's going to be a little bit of an oddball stream, but we will be live on Sunday. So if you guys are interested, you want to hop into the open lobbies, by all means, you can find a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.